Okay, you're ready.
Okay, so let's call to order the July meeting of the Arts and Culture Commission. I think Rob is just joined us. Beautiful. David, do we need to read through the right to know procedures?
We sure do. Thank you. Good evening. Due to the coronavirus pandemic and pursuant to Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12, issued on March 23rd, 2020, in accordance with Executive Order 2020-04, the Arts and Culture Commission is authorized to meet electronically without a quorum physically present in the same location. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting. However, in accordance with Emergency Order 12, we have taken action to provide public access to the meeting by telephone with potential additional access by video, provide public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting, and provide a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are problems with access. For this meeting, Microsoft Teams is being used as a communication platform. All members of the commission have the ability to communicate contemporaneously, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, to participate in the meeting by visiting lebanonnh.gov/live and clicking on the pertinent listed meeting. Instructions on how to attend are provided on the webpage. To assist in the preparation of the meeting minutes and to ensure all participants are aware of who is participating, all speakers are asked to identify themselves and to spell their first and last names before beginning to speak. In order to ensure the best possible communication transmission of the meeting content, it is suggested that you disable the camera on your chosen device to reduce the video feed and increase the available bandwidth for all attendees. To improve sound quality and reduce the amount of feedback in the system, please ensure your microphones are muted unless you are asking a question or making a comment. If anyone has a problem with access during the course of the meeting, please email planning@lebanonnh.gov. I'll do my best to field that email and assist as best I can. In the event that there are technical difficulties and we are unable to hold the meeting, it will be adjourned and rescheduled. All votes taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. We will begin with taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their name, please state whether there is anyone else in the room with you during the meeting, which is required under RSA 91A. I'll turn it back to you, Jessica, unless you would like me to do that roll call attendance.
I can do roll call attendance. Thank you, David.
Sure.
Jessica Giordani, and I'm in the room alone. Devin Wilkie.
Wilkie, present.
Are you alone?
I am.
Thank you. Ben Van Blier.
Present and alone.
Thank you. Robert Welsh.
Hold on. Okay, I'm present. My wife is in the room, but she's on her own earbuds and not listening to, can't hear anything that we're talking about.
Thank you. Bill Dunn.
Present and alone.
Nick Gaffney.
Present and alone.
Rebecca Foster.
Present and alone.
All right, and I believe Sherry Fiore is still not with us. And Karen Zuck will also not be in attendance. Thank you. So
This is Joe Clifford. I'm also here.
Jessica, did we lose you? Jessica, you're not coming through for me. I'm not sure about anyone else.
Oh,
I cannot hear Jessica. This is Nick Gaffney.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm unmuted. Can you hear me here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can now.
All right, so thank you. Sorry about that. So we're moving to approval of minutes from the June 23rd meeting. And right now, if anyone has any corrections or comments, you can jump right in. Just remember to state your name before you speak. And if there are no comments, I will take a motion to accept.
Bill
Feel free to
Dunn makes a
unmute
motion to
yourself.
accept the minutes as presented.
Nick Gaffney, motion to second.
Thank you both. I suppose we need to roll call vote this. I vote yes to approve the minutes. Devin Wilkie.
Devin Wilkie abstains.
Ben Van Vliet.
Ben Van Vliet votes yes.
Sorry. Yes. Rob Welch.
Rob Welsh votes yes.
Bill Dunn.
Bill Dunn votes yes.
Nick Gaffney.
Nick Gaffney votes yes.
Rebecca Foster.
Becky Foster votes yes.
Thank you.
Joe Clifford.
Oh, Joe Clifford. I'm sorry, Joe.
No worries. Joe Clifford abstains since I missed the meeting.
Thank you. Okay, so that's two abstentions and 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 yes. So I apologize. I'm struggling here with audio, and I also have no in spaces, so you have to bear with me a little bit. Let's move along to other business. We can, I think, move past Friends of Arts and Culture because there's been no change in that since last month's meeting. But we do have public art to discuss. So let us begin with graffiti art in the skate park. Last month at our meeting, we had Chrissy Fleith from Leb Rec join us. And the commission voted unanimously to support the graffiti project at the skate park. And I don't know, since Karen Zook is not here, if Karen and Chrissy have connected to talk about this. Has anyone else from the commission been involved in a conversation moving forward with the skate park project?
No, this is Becky. I actually sent 2 or 3 emails to her and never heard back because she was going to get us all together. So I wasn't sure what to do. So I don't know that anything's happened.
Okay, Becky, did you send those emails to Karen or Chrissy, just for clarity?
To Karen.
Okay, thank you.
I spoke to Chrissy about it because I asked her if she had heard from Karen because I knew they were sort of, it felt like it was sort of in a rush. And so I actually asked David if he had heard anything. So I just never heard and never got a reply back to the email. So I don't know what happened. So.
Okay.
This is David Brooks. I talked with Rick Descharnay in the rec office yesterday, and he was not aware that whether there'd been any communications, but he is still eager to see this project move forward before the end of the season, I guess, or by the fall.
Excellent. Yep, this is Jessica. I talked to Rick yesterday as well, and he forwarded me the initial email that I guess went to David and Chrissy before our June meeting. That just had kind of like the bullet pointed list of things that the city manager would like to see in a presentation to him about this project.
We also
So-
didn't, we were supposed to get a copy of that, and we never got that either. So I'm not even sure. We can have, the programming committee can have the meeting without Karen, but we never got that email either. So the only email I've seen about it was the one that David shared way back, like 6 weeks ago. So, we can go ahead and meet as the programming team, but I didn't really know what to do next. So,
okay, Becky, check for an email. This is Jessica. Check for an email that came from David on Tuesday, June 23rd, because it has all of this information. He forwarded it, and I can see your name in the to line. So I'm not sure if it went into a folder, but that information, these bullet points from the city manager are here in this email.
David, I wonder if it
went to your
Earthlink.
It did
Okay.
go to Earthlink, so I'll forward
if
that
you
right
could-
now to which
the new
one?
the Gmail one, or work, either one. I'll be at work tomorrow, so either one. The Earthlink doesn't seem to be getting emails from the city website. I don't know. I mean, the city email system. So either send it to the Becky.brew, Becky.brew.foster@gmail.com, or to me at work.
I will send it to both.
Great, that would help. So, Jessica, do you want us to go on and meet without Karen? The thing we were going to work on was sort of the guidelines of what people can and cannot do, kind of thing. And that's sort of what I understood the next step to be. No profanity and all that, sort of the rules for it.
Sure, and I think that, I don't know what Karen's scheduling issue with this is, but I'd be happy to just send out an email to you, Karen, and Chrissy to kind of get the ball rolling, and then that way, if I can be helpful in this, I'll be in the conversation if you and Chrissy want to.
And then Nick and Devin are on that programming team as well, so
add their names.
They should be included as well, yeah.
Sounds good. This is Nick.
Yeah.
I know. Okay, so I will look for an email from me at the end of this meeting just to kind of initiate the process so we can get things moving with this, because I think that there's enthusiasm to get it started and we should just do it.
Right. We talked about having 2 or 3 panels, with artists that do graffiti art, that's what they do. Nick, were you going to think of some names, or, who could do those 3 panels, or what was the next step on that?
I don't know if I was going to be doing that. I'm happy to do that. I don't know what the next step was precisely. My memory was that we were going to leave it open to the community, but I guess you're right. We did talk about trying to find some artists to start, and I can look into that.
Great. I think the goal was to sort of set the stand, sort of prime the pump. I forget exactly how it was discussed, but I thought it was probably a really good idea to try to do that if possible. So.
This is Bill Dunn. Can I chime in? I was the one who...
Yes, actually, you were the one who mentioned that, I think. Right. So I'm trying to find the notes.
I suggested that out of the X number of panels that exist, perhaps we have 3 of them done by artists to kind of set the look and feel, and it's almost an invitation to others once that visual is up, that they can adopt a panel on their own and go forth. And I think Jessica had mentioned at that point in time that there are a number of skaters who use that park who also happen to be artists. So perhaps that's the group that we should actually try to tap first, in that they're the ultimate users of that space. And I think it would be a nice welcome olive branch to that community to be involved in that public art. The other thing that I kind of mentioned, and I don't know if it's perhaps just a quick discussion, folks who understand more about materials, is there might be some items that we're not going to, some art material that we might not want to use so closely to the waterfront. I mean, the last thing we want to do is be promoting public art that promotes that pollutes the waterways. So it's just a cautionary thing. I don't know if that's an issue or not, but just a topic.
Excellent. Yeah, and I think that I see mention of materials here in the notes from Rick in this email, but that's definitely should be part of the conversation as this process moves forward.
And I think we mentioned sitting up off the ground where people can be seen behind it. I remember that discussion. Everybody thought that was a good idea. So, okay.
Okay, excellent. Any other thoughts for that group before we move along? All right. Next item on our agenda under public art is the electric vehicle charging station. I reached to Tad. Oh, David, will you help me? Tad's last name is escaping me.
Montgomery.
Yes, Tad Montgomery. I contacted him to get some more specific information about this project. And he, like, as far as, you know, how much square footage would be available, if there are height requirements or restrictions, or any material constraints, just so we have that kind of information moving forward looking at this. And he responded back that he did not have that information, but would be contacting the company that will be installing it to get that from them. So we're kind of in a holding pattern for technical specs for this project. I do think, though, that Karen Zook was in touch with an artist in the community that also does like metal fabrication. And she's a painter. She is, if you've been to Three Tomatoes and their outdoor seating, she has chicken paintings up on the outside of the building. But I think this local artist is interested in talking about some design ideas for this project. But besides that, I think that's all the information we have at the moment.
Jessica, this is Bill Dunn. May I chime in again?
Please do.
I chatted with Tad, correct? Yesterday, only because I thought I had volunteered to bring the information as well, and I hadn't done anything up until that point. He said that he chatted with the company, and it does require a wall, and he thinks that that wall can be a fence or it could be some sort of poured concrete, and it could be as large as 10 by 10. And he said that the company, or the just from a anecdotal perspective, thought that using that as a public art space was great. I told Tad that we were thinking about, we were just brainstorming, we needed something to conceptualize, and that we were throwing back and forth the concept of either using it as a directory to art spaces that exist, or public art, or what have you. He said, well, you do have 4 sides to work with. And then he also put in a personal plug. He would love it if at least some of the panels could be used to promote art in the realm of renewable energy or environment, or something that's eco-friendly.
I'm glad to get a little bit to share with you.
This is Rob Welsh. I like Bill's idea. I think that's a great idea to promote clean energy use. So I think that should be one of the parameters we should think about there.
Noted. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at my email from him now, and There are some pictures of other vehicle charging stations, I believe, that this company has done. And there's not really art incorporated into them. So I think that we have a great opportunity here to do something kind of special for downtown Lebanon, rather than these kind of plain things that she sent me. And I can forward this email to everyone so that you're able to see this as well. Number 3 in other business here for public art is the downtown tunnel. The last I was aware, and still on schedule. David, do you have any information or updates about what's happening? Or is it still kind of as it
There we go.
is?
Yes, I've gotten a little bit of update. City Manager Mulholland has asked Brian Vincent of the Public Works Department, who is overseeing the project, the tunnel reconstruction project, to begin meeting with RAC and planning and others on a variety of issues related to what he's calling the trailblazing plan. To connect the tunnel entrance to the Northern Rail Trail. So we'll be, I think the meeting is scheduled for the second weekend of August due to vacations and things. But what we'll be looking at is to try to identify where the path for bicyclists and pedestrians will be located to connect the tunnel to the Northern Rail Trail at Spencer Street, and how it will be delineated. Including whether there's roadway markings or one idea that I like is the idea similar to the Freedom Trail in Boston, is to physically, paint a line, maybe a green line on the ground for people to follow to get from one to the other. Also signage that will make it clear how people use that. Sean, and at the same time, Sean is asking to people to start thinking about the grand opening, ribbon cutting. Again, it's expected to be spring of 21, spring maybe early summer of 21, and that will include how the Arts and Culture Commission will be involved with that opening and opportunities to have artwork and installations and things dovetail with that grand opening celebration. So that actually goes back, that wayfinding piece goes back to the prior agenda item for the charging station and the idea of using it as a directory of sorts to help people know how to get around and what's around them that they might want to visit, as well as connecting people over to the tunnel.
Yeah, I think that'll be great if we're able to tie in those two projects together and direct people from their charging station to the tunnel and the trails and all over downtown. So that's a great opportunity. All right, we also have our other standing agenda item, the roundabouts for Mascoma, Mechanic, and High Street. And I know we've had little bits of conversation about that.
This is Nick Gaffney. Can I chime in? Is that all right?
Yes, I was actually going to ask you if you would.
Yeah. Karen Zook had emailed me earlier this week or late last week, I forget now, about kind of looking for artists who could potentially be trusted to kind of make something for those roundabouts. I had one idea, I didn't have any kind of really strong ideas, some smaller ideas, but I put her in touch with Joshua Dacey, who is the exhibition manager at Ava and probably has in some ways more direct connection with some of those artists. Do we have a timeline for when they're going to be started, much less finished? I don't think I knew what that was.
My understanding that the state's 80% share of this project, or whatever percentage it is programmed for 22 currently.
Okay, so we got a little time to
still,
think about it then.
yeah, there's still a little time.
Okay, all right.
Can I just chime in here? The roundabout at High Street, Mascoma, and Mechanic Street is one that the city manager had specifically put some piping for water and piping for electrical power, with the idea that eventually there would be a fountain there. Now, we've just had the turnover of the fountain up in Glenwood Cemetery from the fountain working group to the city. That was just last week at the city council meeting. And the ladies on the fountain working group are stepping down from the fountain working group, and I'm reconstituting. I'm seeking new membership for that. So if anybody on this board would like to join that, let me know, and we're going to reconstitute that. Our next fountain that we're planning is in that very circle. And this is something that Sean had thought of when he first came on board, but we had always thought about it. But we've got the water and piping, but that wouldn't be probably for another 2 years. So I think whatever we do for the short term, I think is a great idea. But I think you should keep in mind that there will be a fountain there eventually.
This is Nick Gaffney. That's good to know. Is there a sense of what the budget would be for this kind of artwork? I don't know if that's even been budgeted or even talked about.
This is David. I'm not aware that it's been programmed into the infrastructure improvements of the intersection, but I can look into whether there will be a budget of any size.
Okay. Yeah, I'm asking just because I think that would be helpful, because when approaching artists and things like that, to give them a sense of what kind of budget they might be working with would be helpful. And I know that probably won't happen tomorrow or anytime in the near future, but that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah.
This is Bill Dunn. I guess I would say too, we should also keep an open mind and use this as a potential exposure of an artist's capability. And if that is a space that has a lot of traffic passing by it, that it's a perfect viewing opportunity of their work. And it might be something where they're not being commissioned to create for the space, but if they have something that would safely fit within that, within those confines now, that it provides tremendous exposure for the artist, and it's just a way of being temporary beautification, and it might benefit them through name recognition and such.
This is Rob. I think that's a great idea, Bill.
I concur. Nick Gaffney.
Thank you, Bill. All right, so these are all kind of, except for the skate park and the charging station, the tunnel and Mechanic Street are always kind of in progress. And I think that they'll continue to be, because they've got long timelines. Shall we touch on our planning and goals for the remainder of the year? At the last meeting, we kind of touched base with how in-person events are not really practical right now, but also I know that Becky had some ideas about music and things at the senior center. Do you want to speak to that at all, Becky? Or
yeah. So three things I wanted to mention. One is we met with Nick about 2 weeks ago. We're open. In fact, we want to, if we can find funding to get it done, do a full mirror on the north side of the senior center. And, we're looking at silhouettes. So we're writing up the job description. Nick was going to talk to the guys at Ava about working with us on this. We're hoping to have some maybe still, I don't know what to call it, people on around the sidewalk right in front where Campbell Street comes down and turns the corner and then goes into Spencer. And so I'm doing a write-up. And then, Nick, have you had a chance to talk to your director at all? Or
I have a little bit. I've talked to Heidi a little bit about this, and Carl, who both tried interest in kind of doing it. I don't have a sense of a budget yet exactly.
Yeah.
But I did actually speak to, this is Nick Afty, by the way, talking, sorry. I did speak to one of the teaching artists at Ava named Lee Wells, who she teaches the art lab, among other things. She actually lives out in Vermont. I want to say in Sharon, near Sharon, Vermont. But she has experience making murals, kind of larger scale murals of the size that you're looking for.
Yeah.
She definitely expressed interest in potentially being a candidate for it. I emailed her to give me some examples. I've seen examples of her work. She's a very talented illustrator and artist. I wanted to see examples of specifically what she'd done for murals, and I'm waiting to hear from her. I meant to email her today, but I'll do that tomorrow.
Okay. And I know it's not a commission thing. We'll have to go through Grafton County. They've totally approved it. I talked to David about any zoning or any issues with that, and as long as it's not an advertisement, we're good there. So we're continuing to work on that. I just wanted to let everybody know about that. The second thing is, since our last meeting, Ben, we started this thing at the center called Grab and Go. I don't know if y'all have seen signs around town and stuff. But anyway, the first week was 2 weeks ago, and Ben came down and played for us. It was fantastic. We had about 65 people for that. Last week, Erin and her mother played. It was great, and we had 90 people. So this is people in their cars, pulling through, getting a lunch. We're giving them shelf staples. We're having contests each week. Tomorrow's National Cheesecake Day, so we're giving away cheesecakes to some New York cheesecakes sitting in my refrigerator. It's very tempting, but anyway, that's tomorrow. Next week is Decorate Your Car Day. So we're trying to really make it fun, and I've gotten so many letters from the seniors that they look forward to it. So that music, Ben, every week, and they're going to have musicians there playing every week through mid-October. So it's definitely going well, so we really appreciate that. The last thing is, I just got an email today from David Clem's assistant, Angela. They are starting on, what's the date? The first Sunday of August, and the way I read it, it's every Sunday, what's called truck, let's see, I made a note, truck and trail. So the truck part, I thought maybe they were going to be racing trucks or something, but it's actually food trucks are coming every week, and then they'll have picnic tables and everything set up, and then they're introducing the trail that will be part of River Park. So I'm going to call David Clem tomorrow and Angela and see, I had talked to him a few months ago before COVID hit, and he was definitely interested in us potentially doing something for it. I need to call back. I didn't call him during COVID because I figured, I wasn't sure what the options even were. So I'll call tomorrow and see if there's any way we can participate. I wanted to ask you guys, though, with COVID going on, I'm sorry about this clock where I'm sitting. With COVID going on, are we interested in even participating?
This is Jessica. So I spoke this last maybe week or so ago with Chet Clem. He came to the farmers market to recruit food vendors for these events, and it looks like the intention is to stop by, grab some food and go walk on the trails.
I wasn't sure exactly. It's just called Trucking Trails. I wasn't sure exactly how it's going to work.
Yeah,
But
it like it'll work is food trucks will be set up. You can grab food, eat something, put your mask back on, and then go hike on the trails.
Okay.
So yeah, it seems less of like, they definitely don't want people to like just socialize and gather, like you're there to be able to eat and get into nature a little bit, which I think is great and lovely.
Yeah.
But I think food trucks are kind of like the draw to the trail, if I'm understanding this correctly.
I think so. Yeah. I just didn't know whether to check with them on anything or just let it go for now since COVID, but definitely, I mean, the notice I got even said mask required, social distancing, all that. So I wasn't sure how it might work. So maybe it's just not a venue yet, for something we could do, but I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, it looks like this has lots of potential for being like a long-term ongoing event. I just think that the initial stages of this are going to be pretty limited in scope because of the restrictions that have at the current time, right?
Okay, I'll just check to confirm that's it. I think that's, from what I'm reading in the notes, that's sort of what I'm seeing too, but I just wanted to bring that up. So, okay.
Sure. I'm reading from he sent me a bunch of information so I could pass it along and recruit vendors to the event. So this is like on their actual website I'm reading from, and like their call for vendors.
Yeah, okay, good.
Thank you. All right. Do people have other things that they would like to bring up as part of like planning and goals for the remainder of the year, or are we?
This is Nick Gaffney. I just think we don't have to have a long discussion about this, but it's not too late to begin thinking about the Lebanon Winter Festival. I know it's Parks and Rec does a lot with that, but in terms of what we want to be part of it, even if it's going to happen, because I understand in the world of COVID-19, everything changes, but I don't even know if that's if there's a plan for it to happen or people have thought that far in advance yet.
This is Ben Van Vliet. I'd second that. And I think we should also be thinking about how it could happen even if we can't gather, or what contribution that we could make to the city. Because, I mean, it'll still be cold and it'll still be dark and it'll still be that time of year. And so I think people will still have the need for all of the rituals that we have that time of year, even if we can't get together. So all the more reason that we start brainstorming now about what that could look like. The other thing that I'd just like to throw out there is a reminder for us to not completely let go of our branding work. And we may not be ready for an actual in-depth branding process, but I do think it's important that we have maybe even just a simple word mark so that as we continue doing projects, there's a way for people to know that these aren't just happening out of thin air, that there's a group of city folks who are working on it and that it's part of their city.
I fully concur with that. This is Rob.
Bill Dunn, thank you very much, Ben. That's great. It's exactly what we should be doing. And to that end, just the concept of a really low cost, perhaps highly visible public art piece could be I'm thinking about the granite posts along the Colburn Park between the metal chain link fence. They're not straight granite posts with flat tops, if I recall. Is that correct? I'm thinking about painting, like if folks were to paint rocks with just inspirational phrases, or I was walking over a bridge the other day while down at the beach, and every bridge post was a shell painted, and one would say smile, and the other said be feisty, and the other said the location of where it was. I could see one that says 03766. It could be anything Lebanon centric or West Lebanon centric that was placed there intentionally at low cost, but with high impact visually.
Thank you, Bill. This is Jessica. I think that's a great kind of like accessible project for the community to participate in. And I know that the schools were doing that a little bit. At least Hanover Street School was encouraging the students there to do that before the spring semester ended, as a way to kind of connect with their classmates and community members without actually being connected with them in person. Since Ben rightly brought up the branding conversation that was kind of sidelined by the changes of things this year, I'm wondering if we want to make some plans to have conversations about that again. I know that right before we kind of put meetings on hold for a couple of months, Bill had brought Tommy to talk to us, and Joe, and myself, and someone else. I want to say we were all going to try and plan to get together to meet, which in person right now isn't really practical, but perhaps we should revisit that and start brainstorming and get that process happening again.
This is Bill. I'll gladly volunteer him all day long.
Joe, what do you think?
I think it's a great idea. I'm definitely on board.
All right, I think I will add that to my list of emails to send at the end of the meeting then, to follow up and see if we can start organizing to talk about that. Do we want to move to committee reports? Have any committees met? Or are there things that we want to bring up outside of what's already kind of been raised as projects and things for people to do so far? The first one is exploratory funding and processing, which anyone from there, have you met or talked? No? Ben?
Jessica, did we lose you again?
Hello?
Jessica,
David?
lost. I think we lost you there for a moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, does anyone have a committee report that they want to share with us? I don't know if anyone has met in the last month, but instead of, I think, roll calling the committees, join the conversation and let us know if anyone has anything to report. It might be a no right down the list.
I have a question. So on the programming, we had done sort of this calendar, of things. My assumption is that's on hold because of COVID. So I haven't even thought about that calendar much because most of it involved groups, people getting together. So Devin and Nick, don't you agree? I mean, I don't know really how to proceed on the program part other than things we've talked about already. Devin, Nick, do you have any thoughts on that?
This is Devin. I think, yes, for this year at least, the calendar would probably not be effective or useful. I think it might be worth our group meeting to start building a calendar for once we're able to resume in-person meetings.
Yeah.
But I don't see value in trying to resuscitate any part of it for 2020.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I would agree with that as
Yeah.
well.
This is Jessica. Can I ask if programming would be willing to reach out to Rec just to check in and ask that they keep us posted as they make decisions about whether or not their portion of the winter festival will be happening? Since I feel like Rec is kind
Would
of the
that be
host.
Chrissy? Would that be the Parks and Rec?
Yeah, Parks. So either Chrissy Flight or maybe Megan would be. Either of them would be good contacts for planning of that event. So I'm sure that they're trying to be nimble and act creatively in the face of having a lot of the programming canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we can just if programming wants to connect with them so that we're all looped in if they are moving forward with some sort of alternative version of plans, that would be great.
Devin, do you want to do that, or I'd be happy to do that, or Nick?
This is Devin. Yeah, I can reach out to them and have them keep us posted.
Okay.
Thank you,
Sounds
Devin.
good.
All right. Shall we move to open discussion? Are there other things that people would like to bring up?
I have something I just wanted to inform everybody about. Heritage Commission we've gotten notice that we've received a grant, but it hasn't come through because it has to go through governor and council first to get approval. But I think there's no reason to believe it won't be, from Department of Historic Resources down in Concord. And this will be to re-examine the historic district downtown. And there's one goal that I had wanted was to have 5 properties put on the list that are currently non-contributing. They all have turned 50 years old or older. And these are the Lucky's Garage, Mascoma Bank Building, the fire station, the post office, and the bandstand in the park. In addition, DHR has wanted us to consider expanding the boundaries of the historic district. And so there's 3 areas we have to consider. One is down Campbell Street, down as far as Becky's shop down at the old grocery store down there, the supermarket, AMP, yeah. And the other is, of course, the mall would be another possibility. And a third possibility would be a block or 2 up Bank Street. So we're going to be thinking about all of those. We've just sent out requests for qualifications, and we've started getting them in. I know because I got one in the mail the other day. So just to let you know that that's something that's moving forward. And it shouldn't affect any of us in any direct way. Yes. Mm-hmm.
If we do a mural on the side of the wall, that's going to be okay, right?
We do not. One of the rules about the historic district is we have to vote on any external changes to the building. We don't have any say on paint color or the kind of painting. So if we do a mural, that would be completely outside the scope of work for Heritage Commission. And we want you to know that we encourage this kind of art that we've been talking about. This is not an issue for us.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, great.
And I just want you to know that, I mean, if we do expand it down Campbell Street, it would include your shop, but our goal is not to make life difficult for you. We want to actually encourage it. But the one thing we are specifically excluded from is to talk about paint color.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can't do anything about inside. We don't worry about that. We're about external parts of the building, and we can't say anything about paint color. So don't worry about murals and things. That would be not a problem.
Okay, great.
Okay. But I just want to let you all know that we are going to start that up. We've just gotten the first proposals, our set of qualifications sent in that I saw, and I suspect we'll get some others, and then we'll make a decision. And but I just want you to know it's in the works. The other thing that is relevant, because I know some of you are from West Lebanon, we are actually talking now about establishing an historic district down in West Lebanon, probably along the lines of the Maple Street and the bottom end of Seminary Hill. That's really way ahead of the game, but that's where our discussions are at this point. But we haven't gotten very far. That's all I have to say on those topics. So,
thank you, Rob. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to bring up in open discussion? Right. Quiet evening. Okay. Well, then at this point, I would take a motion to adjourn.
this is Rob. I make a motion to adjourn.
This is Ben, second.
All right, let's do a quick vote. Let's see. So this is Jessica. I vote yes. Devin?
Devin Wilkie votes yes.
Ben?
Ben Van Vliet votes yes.
Rob?
Rob votes yes.
Bill?
Bill votes yes.
Nick?
Nick votes yes.
Joe?
Joe Clifford votes yes.
Becky?
Becky votes yes.
You there, Becky?
Oh, did you hear me? I'm sorry. Becky votes yes.
Excellent. Thank you all so much.
Okay.
Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Okay.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
And thanks, David.
Thank you all. Good evening.
My pleasure. See you all next month.
Yep, we'll look
Yes,
forward
bye-bye.
to it. Bye-bye now.